Hi, I'm Corinne Lesh with EdScoop, and I'm here with Tracy Weeks, Executive Director of CETA. Tracy, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about CETA, what the organization does, and what drew you to it.
Well, CETA is the premier national organization that really works with state digital leaders at the state agencies around the nation. Prior to coming to this role, was one of those state leaders. I was in the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction and really valued all that CETA was able to do from an advocacy perspective, professional development. The resources they developed and provided to the states were really invaluable. And as they began looking for a new executive director, it just seemed like it was a good fit, being able to go from being a state leader to helping other state leaders.
Great. And what did you specifically do in your role as a state leader?
Absolutely. I was the Chief Academic and Digital Learning Officer at the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, which, as far as we know, is the first state in the nation to have a senior leadership position that focused both on academics and digital learning. So I worked with areas that included curriculum and instruction, career and technical education, digital teaching and learning, exceptional children, and the North Carolina Virtual Public Schools. So really trying to integrate academics and digital learning.
And what was the greatest accomplishment that came out of that for you?
Well, I tell you, really beginning those conversations between groups that certainly had worked alongside one another, but really began to plan together and move forward together. Prior to that role, I actually led the North Carolina Virtual Public School, and I was able to really, I think, get that group more interwoven into some of the main conversations happening at the state level as well, so that providing those blended and online learning opportunities across the state became a key strategy of all of the parts of the agency.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the most pressing issues that are facing state ed tech leaders today?
Well, there's several. So one of the big pieces that they're facing is looking at providing digital equity for all students. In fact, today CETA has unveiled a new paper that we co-sponsored with Common Sense Media that looks at state leadership roles with broadband rollouts in their states and looking at some best practices that different state leaders have had with success in making sure that all of our schools have access to high quality broadband. The next piece is really looking at how we close that homework gap and make sure that kids get that access at home. So that's one of the big pieces that we're looking at.
Great. And how are you sort of trying to resolve these issues? I mean, you have a network of so many states that you really have to collaborate with and get on board with. So how does that work?
Absolutely. Well, so we actually have very active state engagement teams among our membership that really work and think and plan. And much of this paper, this publication, really has come from this state engagement group. But it also requires engagement with other organizations that have similar goals, and there are quite a number out there that are very deeply invested in having access for all at home.
Mm-hmm. And what sort of policies are we seeing that you think could really help state ed tech leaders?
Well, I think it certainly began with the E-rate modernization. We were very, very excited that the FCC adopted CETA's recommendations on the targets for broadband, and now we've seen that move forward. We're excited about the Connect All initiative, the Lifeline revamp. All of these things I think are going to help move that forward.
And what do you see going forward? What are going to be some of the issues that pop up, or what do you see as the top tech trends?
Well, I think states are really focusing on how they can really quantify digital readiness in their state. So, many people, it's easy to look at what the broadband looks like, what the devices look like, but when you look at the total picture of how the instruction plays into the devices, the connectivity, we need to look at the professional capacity of our teachers and our administrators in the school. How do all of those things play together to ultimately mean good things for the kids? So, we can spend lots and lots of money on devices and infrastructure and maybe not really move the mark educationally, but if we put all of that together, and this again goes back to sort of my former role, if we can combine that with what we're trying to do academically and instructionally for kids, I think that we can really make some gains in helping states articulate where they are on that readiness spectrum, I think is going to be very important.
Great. And in your new role, how do you think CETA will change or grow under your leadership?
Well, it's the first time that CETA's had a leader that has been one of its members before. So I hope that I can bring a perspective that is an informed one that helps us sort of connect the dots a little bit. But I really do hope that the role I've played with combining academics and digital learning and bringing that narrative forward will continue to play out.
Great. Thank you so much for being here, Tracy.
Thank you.